Well, hey there, everybody. We are down to four. We're down to four. Conference finals, they actually begin tonight. Game one between the Florida Panthers and Carolina Hurricanes. And I wanted to take a look and do my predictions of who I think ends up in the Stanley Cup Final. Now, these are a couple of rematches from one from last year and one from 2 years ago. We have the Dallas Stars representing the Central Division playing the Edmonton Oilers, who represent the Pacific Division. They both won their postseason division titles, and they met just one year ago. Just this time last year, those two teams were playing for the right to go to the Stanley Cup Final. This is the Dallas Stars' third consecutive trip to the Stanley Cup Final, or their third consecutive trip to the conference final, not Stanley Cup Final, and they got there in 2020. This is also their fourth trip in the last 6 years. They made the final in 2020, and this being their third straight trip to the Western Conference Final. Dallas is a very blessed team when it comes to hockey, not football. Football. Their football team's a disaster. We all know this. We all love those Dallas Cowboy fans. But Dallas Star fans are very very blessed. They have a hell of a team, and them going out and signing Mikko Rantanen tells everybody we want to be in this position every single year. Now they want to be in one. They want to move one round further than this position every single year. That's what they want to do. Signing Mikko Rantanen showed that. And the Dallas Stars are going to be a team that is going to be a contender for years to come. And they showed just how much better they were than Winnipeg. Exactly kind of. Now, I fully thought that they were going to catch and pass Winnipeg because I just thought they were better than Winnipeg. They proved they were better than Winnipeg. Come playoff time, when it counted, they proved how much better they were than Winnipeg. And the Stars, they want to be want to be in that Stanley Cup contender status for years to come, and they for certainly will be. And I think they are going to be right there at the top of the division every single year. The Edmonton Oilers. Now, not a lot of people thought much of what they were doing. I mean, they came into the season, they ended up finishing third in the Pacific Division this year. They got off, they fell behind 2-0 to the Los Angeles Kings, and I thought they were done. I did. I thought they were toast. Well, then they showed up. Then they showed up. They showed up. They showed out. They took over, and they not only then cruised by the LA Kings 4 straight after being down 2-0, winning 4 in a row. They then go against the team that I myself, when I made my bracket before the playoffs started, I had going to the final. Now, mind you, I had them beating LA in the second round, because I didn't think Edmonton would get by LA. So I had Vegas going all the way. I had Vegas going to the final. They came up against the Edmonton Oilers, and Edmonton they ran their show. I mean, without the goal being scored with 0.4 seconds to go in game 3, that series might have been a sweep. That's how good Edmonton played. That series might have been a sweep. That's how good the Oilers were. And they're coming into this Western Conference Final back-to-back years. Second straight year for them in the Western Final. They've got something to prove. They have something to prove from last year. They want to get back to the final. They want to get back there next year. And I don't blame them. I mean, why wouldn't you? They're a fantastic team. McDavid and Draisaitl are the human version of cheat codes. They are unbelievable. I mean, it's almost criminal that neither one of those guys have rings yet. Can it happen this year? We'll have to find out. Now we move to the Eastern Conference. This is a rematch of 2 years ago from 2023. So a rematch of the 2024 Western Conference Final and a rematch from the 2023 Eastern Conference Final, where the Florida Panthers, representing the Atlantic Division, a team that is going for their third straight Stanley Cup Final appearance and on a mission to go back-to-back, against the Carolina Hurricanes, representing the Metropolitan Division. Now, since 2018, an Atlantic Division team has come out of the Eastern Conference every year since 2018. Boston did it in 2019, and then it's basically been the entire state of Florida for the rest of the time. Tampa going to the final in 2020, 2021, and 2022. Obviously winning the Stanley Cup in 2020 and 2021. And then you have the Florida Panthers, Stanley Cup finalists in 2023, where they ended up losing to Vegas. They returned to the Stanley Cup final last year, winning the Stanley Cup. And they're trying to get back there again. Now, when they met in 2023, it was a 4-game sweep. But I think 2 of those games went to overtime. I think it was 2, might have been 3. But that first game, which was a tone setter, Florida won that in 4 overtimes. Amazing game. Absolutely amazing game. And it seemed to set the tone. And it set the tone for the Florida Panthers for the run that they went on. And the run that they are currently still on, if you think about it. Because they're looking unbelievable. I mean, Carolina, by the way, the last 3 times that they have made the conference final, they've been swept. They have not won a game in the conference finals the last 3 times they've been there. This is their 4th opportunity in the conference final since winning the Stanley Cup in 2006. Can they win a game? That's the thing. Which I don't see them getting swept. I don't. But it's gonna be interesting. Now, predicting who's going to win these series. Now, you've got the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers. The Dallas Stars, of course, playing amazingly. They're so deep. I mean, and adding Mikko Rantanen has been just a find and a half for them. You've got, obviously, Thomas Harley. You've got, Wyatt Johnson, Jason Robertson. I mean, this is a deep team. This is a very deep team. Mason Marchment. These guys are a really good team. Tyler Sagan. Lord knows there's probably a whole bunch of other guys I'm forgetting. But they're a deep team. Jake Ottinger in net is a damn good goalie. Going up against the Edmonton Oilers, who, again, it's McDavid, it's Draisaitl, it's Perry, it's Nurse, it's Evander Kane, it's Zach Hyman, it's Janmark. It's just there's so many pieces. Ekholm may come back, not for the first 2 games apparently, but he might be back in this series, and that'll only make Edmonton better too. So, trying to predict who comes out of these series. Who do I think is going to represent the Western Conference this year in the Stanley Cup Final? And in how many games? I have the Oilers. I'm picking the Edmonton Oilers to knock off the Dallas Stars again. And it's going to be in 6. I think it'll be in 6 games again, just like it was last year. And it's just when it comes down to it, stopping McDavid and Draisaitl is an almost impossible task, especially when they're on it. It's an almost impossible task. Now, I mean, I'm almost leaving out the fact that the Oilers have Stuart Skinner, who he's hot garbage the first couple games of a series, but then he turns it on, and even the last couple of games that he's played, he's been fantastic. Now Calvin Pickard, of course, he came in and he was pretty damn good, but then of course he gets hurt and he's going to be out for the first couple games of this series, so it's on Skinner. And again, after the Kings jumped up on him 2-0, and I personally thought the Oilers were screwed, and they came roaring back and said, nope, not today. I mean, do you want to fall behind 2-0 to the Dallas Stars? No. But I don't think Edmonton's going to. The way the Oilers are playing right now, they're on a high right now. They are up here. They're playing unbelievably, and they have something to prove. They really have something to prove. And I hate to say it, but third time is not going to be the charm for the Dallas Stars. I believe they are going to lose 4-2 to the Edmonton Oilers, and the Edmonton Oilers will return to the Stanley Cup Final for 2025. Now we move over to the Eastern Conference. The Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, Carolina's played well. Carolina plays a defensive type game that, we saw what happened against Washington. I mean, a lot of people looked at that series and thought, this is boring because of the way Carolina plays. But they really held down Washington. They held them down immensely. And, they beat them in 5. They beat the Capitals in 5. Who saw that coming? I didn't really. I picked Washington in that series. And Carolina just shut them down. Carolina, they have never met a shot that they don't like. They love to shoot. They outshot Washington big time. But you're coming up against a Florida Panther team that right now is, I talked about the Oilers and the high that they're on. The Florida Panthers are right there too. They're out with something to prove here too. That not only, because a lot of people would have thought the 2023 run, was just a fluke. Just a fluke. Because, they came in, they barely got in the playoffs. If the Pittsburgh Penguins could have found a way to beat the lowly Chicago Blackhawks in just one game toward the end of that season, Pittsburgh would have been the team to make the playoffs. Florida would have been out. So Florida's been having something to prove here. They came into that 2023 playoff, and I didn't pick them to win anything. I thought they're going to get smoked going against a 65-win Boston Bruin team, and then they knock them off. And then they go on that unbelievable run that nobody saw coming. I didn't see it coming. They made it all the way to the Stanley Cup Final. Now, did a lot of people expect them to win the Stanley Cup in 2023? No. not against Vegas. And they didn't. Vegas ran them up and down the ice. But then 2024 comes along, and the Panthers come into that season, and they do. They have something to prove. Matthew Tkachuk, and he said it in the media, after that game in Vegas, when they were sitting in the locker room, they said, we don't like this feeling. We're going to be back. We're going to be back. We're going to be back in the final next year. Lo and behold, what happens? They not only end up back in the final, they They make the playoffs. They win the division. They make the playoffs. They steamroll through the first 3 rounds. They get back to the Stanley Cup Final. They jump up 3-0, but they couldn't close it. They couldn't close it out until finally in Game 7. They close it out on home ice. They finally were able to close out that series. But it took until then. And I think Florida, they still, even though they are the reigning defending champions, I think they still have a chip on their shoulder. And Carolina is going to give them hell. They really are. But to predict this, my prediction here for the Eastern Conference Final, I'm picking the Florida Panthers. I'm picking the Panthers to win 4-2 over the Carolina Hurricanes, and I am predicting a rematch of the 2024 Stanley Cup Final. The Florida Panthers will play the Edmonton Oilers for the Stanley Cup. This will be the first time since 2008-2009 that you will see a rematch in the final. Like I said, my prediction, obviously the games have to be played, but the way that Florida and Edmonton are playing right now, I just think they're on a collision course. They're on a collision course with each other again. And I just, as good as Dallas is, when it comes down to it, it's McDavid, it's Draisaitl. Those guys, you can't stop them. You can only hope to contain them somewhat. Because when they get moving, you can't stop those guys. They're unbelievable. So I think the Oilers come out of the West. The Panthers, of course, I think they're on a mission. They want to equal what Tampa did, what their in-state rival did. They want to make a 3rd straight Stanley Cup Final. They want to win back-to-back. And I think it's going to be the Panthers and it's going to be the Oilers. 2024 rematch. Oilers versus Panthers. That is my prediction. What is your prediction? Who do you think wins who do you think comes out of the West? Who comes out of the East? And then how many games? How many games do you think it's going to take one of these teams to advance? Who do you think advances? And then how many games? Hit that like button. That greatly helps the channel. The algorithm definitely likes that. Also, hit that subscribe button. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. The channel loves that too. And, obviously, share this video with everyone that you know, with your friends, with your family. Hit that little notification bell too. That will notify you anytime future videos are uploaded. And what a Stanley Cup Final. Who would have thought? 2 rematches. One rematch from just 1 season ago and another rematch from 2 seasons ago. Who'd ever thunk, huh? So, yeah. So let me know who wins and in how many games. And again, hit that like button. It's very easy. Just a nice little tap there. Helps the channel out. Lets the algorithm know that people are interested in the channel. Obviously, hit that subscribe button so I know I can see you back. So I can see you guys back here again. And share the video with everyone that you know. And down to 4. Who do we get in the 2025 final? Again, let me know everything. Let me know it all in the comments. And so like, comment, subscribe, share. I will see you guys later.